I came from really big companies, right? So my experience is at, Tableau, where we had a 120 person marketing team and these just big companies where you started planning in September and there was a very specific rigor to it. And you had a certain amount of budget and blah, 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 approvals and this and that. And it's not like that here. So at Metadata, the team is so small, 2 people, now just 3, soon to be 7. But with that many people, and when you're growing this fast and you don't know everything, things shift so much. The planning that we do is really more around what I call my demand. And so that planning is really working backwards from revenue that we need. So, hey, here's our company goals around net new ARR that we want to hit by the end of 2022. I have the sales and marketing split. Okay, out of that revenue, I'm responsible for 70%. Sales is responsible for 30%. Okay, great. Now I know my revenue number. And I work that way. I work that back because I know all the conversion rates. I know the ASP. I know all of that stuff. And so I know the velocities. And I built a demand model for myself in Google Sheets that I actually shared with everybody because I put it into a template and made some content around it. But that just helps me understand, okay, revenue, I just plug in some numbers, update the conversion rates that we've seen, the velocities, and it just tells me exactly what I need to deliver in terms of demo requests. We don't track leads at Metadata. It's all about demo requests because we don't gate our content. So we don't really have a notion of a lead, but demo requests. And I'm looking at that demo request as a leading indicator. But again, my goal is pipeline generated. So, and then the final thing I'll say is I'm about a quarter ahead. So I'm always looking. So right now in Q4, I'm generating demand for Q1. I'm, pipeline for Q1 because I already did Q4 and Q3. And so that's what I'd say. And generally from a company's perspective, what we're looking at is just how much cash we have, how fast we want to grow. Can we grow that fast with the cash that we have while still maintaining a decent buffer in there in case things happen that we're not expecting? And we focus on net retention rate, as our primary metric, not just like net new ARR. So we focus on net retention rate, which helps us bring in the best customers who are going to renew because that's our main goal. That's basically how I've always thought marketing should be measured. I never thought leads and handing leads off to sales was a good marketing approach or strategy. And I've been marketed to for a long time, right? So I was head of marketing operations at a lot of big companies. And so I was targeted with a lot of ads, and every new tool I would evaluate. And I just realized over that 10 years or so, I was like, the kind of marketing I liked, marketing and sales I liked, and the kind of marketing and sales I really hated. And basically trying to do the kind of marketing and sales I liked, which is really low touch. Let me educate myself. Let me learn about you through what you're doing in your content on LinkedIn and your ads. But I'm going to figure out 80% of it before I ever talk to. And that's where we want to be. We want to be there to support people and not require them to give me your email address for content. That seems silly to me. So if it's good content, I don't need to hide behind a form. It should do its job where if somebody consumes that content, it's valuable enough to consume, then psychologically they're connected to you because, man, Metadata just produced some great, intelligent, helpful content. And then at some point you're going to say, oh, they were helpful there. Maybe they can be helpful with the platform. And that's really the psychological leap we're looking for. The feedback loop is we measure everything all the way to revenue. So because of that, we can just feed that back in and we use metadata. Metadata just does it for us automatically. We don't have to look at it, decide what to do. We just throw a bunch of stuff into metadata and then let it sort itself out. We can do a lot of experiments in metadata, put some budget behind them, pacing, and then let metadata figure out what's working and what's not, but what's working in terms of driving revenue, not just click-through rates and cost per click. So because of that, it takes 3 months, 6 months for us to really understand sometimes the actual impact of a new campaign or a new strategy. But we're always looking at leading indicators on the way there, right? So leading indicator is pipeline created, meetings booked, demo requests. So as long as we see those leading indicators are close, they can be 20% off, still 25% off. That's okay, right? Because the conversion rates might be different down below that. But as we get closer to revenue, those conversion rates should be tighter to what they or better. Just analysis. So I told you, I mentioned that NRR is our North Star metric. We just analyze that. Who are the best types of customers that drive NRR up? So instead of focusing on who do we sell easiest to, which we did for the first 6 to 12 months, because we didn't have all this historical data, who do we sell easiest to? Brought in a lot of customers who didn't have any business using our platform, right? And so And some of them, it would hit or miss. Some will get value, but a lot wouldn't. And so in this one segment, we realized we only have a 65% net retention rate, whereas these other segments is over 100%. So let's just stop marketing to these people. And in fact, there's certain criteria where we won't even take a demo anymore. Like, oh, yep, you're a B2B marketer, you advertise on LinkedIn. Sorry, you're not quite big enough. Because we just know if NRR is a primary metric, let's fix that on the way in. Let's not try and pretend we can turn it into that. Let's just fix it on the way in. So that's what we're doing. I actually have a lot of anxiety. So I deal with a lot of anxiety at work. And I use that demand model to basically keep it at bay. So I look at it once a week, probably. So I'm looking at it in the current quarter, even though that one I showed you is planned for the next quarter. I also have another version of that for the current quarter. And I just make sure that it shows me a negative number. So I don't need to drive more pipeline for the current quarter. That would be that would suck if I had to, because our average sales cycle is 90 days. So it's already a quarter. Getting people to convert within 90 days can be difficult. So I use it. I look at that one in quarter to make sure, okay, it's always negative, meaning we have more pipeline than we need. And then I'm always looking at it probably twice a month for the next quarter, just to make sure that I'm still clear with the pipeline hasn't shifted. And then anytime sales does a big pipeline cleanup, I go back in and I redo it.